Big Sean recently did an interview with Charlemagne the God and talked about his potential beef with Kendrick Lamar. So this is interesting. Let's go over the article. Big Sean was hit with a seemingly unsolicited diss from Kendrick Lamar on a leaked song last year, but he ended up receiving an apology for it afterwards. The Detroit native sat down with Charlemagne the God on Out of Context for an in-depth conversation published on Friday, August 2nd. At one point during the chat, Charlemagne brought up a 2023 leak, which appeared to be an unreleased version of Pandemic from TDE's 2018 Black Panther soundtrack. On the song K-Dat raps, Big Sean keeps sneak dissing, I let it slide. I think his false confidence got him inspired. I can't make them respect you, baby. It's not my job. You finally famous for who you date, not how you rhyme, boy. Sean first explained the backstory, saying that he believes it all started when he did a song called No More Interviews in 2016. On it, he makes a reference to rappers who rhyme fast, and a lot of people at the time speculated that he was talking about Kendrick, though he wasn't. Shortly after, Dot dropped one of the songs in the Heart series, and it sounded like there was a slight at Big Sean. He reached out to Kendrick Lamar via text. The two had a great, good relationship with, and had even been to each other's houses. But when the number didn't work, he asked TDE's Top Dog if there was smoke, which Sean was told there wasn't. Then Sean says Joe Budden continued to fan the flames of the beef between him and Kendrick to the point that not only was the internet feeding into it, but he and Dot seemed to almost believe it as well. So let's go over the video. I'm about to play it.
I did a song called No More Interviews, where I'm rapping about people rapping fast and blah, blah, blah. And people like, oh, you talking about Kendrick? I'm like, well, I'm not talking about anyone specifically. I'm just talking my shit. At the time, there was a lot of motherfuckers rap. I'm surprised no one thought Eminem or I remember Logic was hot at the MGK, you know, all these other rappers that rap fast. And I'm like, this nigga Kendrick don't even rap fast all the time. Like, it's other people who be rapping fast all the time. But I definitely was like not running from or ducking no type smoke at all. Like, I Decided and Bounce Back and all this stuff, and he was dropping his album, Damn. And I can't remember what freestyle, I guess it was the Hard Part 4.
I don't remember.
5 maybe, something like that. And people were like, oh, he's talking about Big Sean in there, right? So I hit up Top Dog first. I'm like, yo, who he talking about? He's just talking to me, he's just throwing a bone out there. Joe Budden had created this, like, before that, Joe Budden had made this, like, there's a Kendrick Big Sean beef, and to the point where I tried to ignore it, but he made that narrative so fucking real that I think it really did become a thing. So, like,
He wasn't all the way wrong, though. You said there might have been something in the air.
Well, yeah, because I'm getting to the point where me and Kendrick talk.
Okay.
So I get to the point where I'm like, damn, do we got something going on? That's why I had something prepared, right? And then when I run into Dave Free, and he's like, nah, bro, it ain't nothing. Like, it's all love. He said something like that wasn't directly towards you. It was for anyone, you know? Okay. So then Nipsey dies. And I sit on a plane next to Punch. Random as hell. We're headed to J. Cole's festival. And he's like, you ever talk to Kendrick? And I'm like, no, I never. I know it ain't shit there. But no, we never really spoke. Then around that time, like that day or maybe the day before that or the week or day within that same time period, that leaked shit happened. It was a leaked verse. And it said what you said.
Yep.
I'm like, damn, nigga, y'all motherfuckers said it wasn't shit and it was something. So you got me looking crazy.
But maybe he prepared something just like the same way you was thinking. He was like, let me get my nukes just in case too.
Right, but the thing is that song came out and he changed that bar, right? So that wasn't on the song anymore. It was a leaked verse. So I had to keep that in mind because I was pissed when I heard it. So then I'm like, okay, he changed that on his own. So he probably came to the conclusion that it was nothing. So then me and him talk. And I got the text on my phone. He apologized in a sense for going that far, you know, and for that shit coming out, right? So I wanted to show you that because in a sense he apologized, right? So if Kendrick apologized for that same leak that I heard prematurely, right, that he didn't use, it's like, then it leaks fully later, right, and people hear it, and we already discussed it. And he said, appreciate the shout out on a Nipsey song. I already addressed it on the song with Nip. Lack of communication and wrong information for people fueled by the ego is like mixing flames with diesel.
That's what he said to you in the...
No, that's what I said on the song with Nipsey.
Oh, I know, but
Deep
in the
Rivers.
text, it sounded like he kind of said the same thing.
Yeah, that's why I said it in the song. Because in that text, he said, yo, you know, my ego, da-da-da.
Yeah,
so it's like, when that shit leaks, it's like, people are like, oh, you heard what he said about you? I'm like, nigga, I'm not a clout-chasing ass nigga, bro. I'm solid and I stand on mine, and I'm not about to do something because everyone thinks a certain thing. Like, we already talked about it. I already got an apology for it.
And your shirt right now says, I do not care about their opinions.
Yeah,
so why would you care about the opinions of other people if you know what it is between you and Dot?
Exactly. And that's what it's been. You know, I ain't really had too much communication with him since then. And, you know, but I just want to like, I represent a lot of people from my city, from where I come from, fans of mine, who think I didn't stand on my shit. And that's not the case. And that's what I want to clarify. I wasn't being a bitch nigga or like tucking my tail or nothing like that. And if it was real smoke, if it was really something to stand on, I would be full front. I would be there front and center for it. And I would be prepared. You know what I'm saying? But it's not. And people want to make something that is not. So that's something that I never really got a chance to clarify. And, you know, to me, it's better to be about business and to be authentic. And like, if there's literally not a problem there, then I'm not about to feed into no narrative that isn't true, that I know isn't true.
Okay, so it's a long clip. I'm probably not going to be able to play the full thing because copyright is just going to destroy me. But the gist of it is Charlamagne goes down the history a little bit about, hey, this track, was this a diss track, blah, blah, blah. Him and Kendrick Lamar talked through text after the song leaked, that leaked song that was dissing Big Sean. Obviously, Kendrick Lamar changed the verse later when the song officially came out, but the leaked version was him taking shots at Big Sean. They talked in text message, and they've basically squashed the beef ever since. Charlamagne, then, just to add more fuel to the fire, which most interviewers do, said, hey, it's maybe a good situation that you never got into with Kendrick Lamar because look what he did to Drake. And you probably wouldn't want that smoke. And Big Sean was like, listen, I'm ready for whatever. But he's like, you know, it is what it is. I'm not really chasing it, blah, blah, blah. So all this to me shows, and this to me proves, is media and fans hype this stuff up more than what it's supposed to be. Way more than what it's supposed to be. And we do that because we want entertainment. We want to see the best of the best go at it. I mean, what was more entertaining than Drake and Kendrick Lamar this year going at it? There's nothing you can name in hip-hop. It was the focal point of everything for the past 2 months, and still people are talking about it. Still people haven't gotten over what's happened with this battle. People are still speculating that maybe Drake's going to respond again and Kendrick's going to respond again. They're going to have subliminals. They're going to do this and that. So clearly people love it. But fans hype it all up, and fans make it worse than what it actually is. And Big Sean basically said, listen, I didn't let the outside noise get to me. I talked directly to Kendrick Lamar. He said everything's cool, so everything's cool. Now, in the public, obviously, people are going to look at Big Sean and be like, you're a sucker. You know, you let Kendrick Lamar clown you and trick you into thinking that everything's cool when it's not really because he leaked, quote-unquote, this track and blah, 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 blah. But Big Sean is more content in who he is as a person and says, listen, if it's not a situation, it's not. But he did say he had a plan figured out that if Kendrick Lamar went in on him, he would have something ready to go. So that's probably what happened with Kendrick, is he recorded this track thinking that there was something going on because Big Sean dropped the No More Interviews track, and people were speculating that that was shots at Kendrick Lamar when Big Sean said it wasn't. You know, he was just made a rapping bar. He made a bar talking about rappers that rap fast, and people just speculated it was against Kendrick. When Big Sean in the interview says, hey, it could have been against Eminem, it could have been against Logic, anybody that's rapping fast at the moment could have went against. So he's like, it's not specifically anybody. He was just clowning people that rap fast. So, yeah, what this all this tells me is, you know, fans speculate and people overhype things. Even me, I'll talk about a certain situation and I might reach, man. I might reach for the fucking stars on some things. It is what it is. It's just speculation, like the Eminem and Jay-Z line where he talks about Empire State Building and he's the best rapper. You know, I reached and said basically it was a diss towards Jay-Z. A lot of people on the internet did that. Royce the 5'9" basically spoke for Eminem and said, nah, hell no, it's not a diss towards Jay-Z. Who knows? Maybe Jay-Z takes it differently. Maybe down the line he releases a new verse and disses Eminem and says, I like Skittles better than M&M's. Who knows? It might be a subliminal like that because Jay-Z's a sucker and will subliminally diss people instead of actually go at him. So you might mention something about Skittles and how I like the rainbow better versus, M&M's. I don't know. Regardless, people reach, and that's just the media world. People will reach and overhype things just for views, click, blah, 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 blah. Have I done it a few times? Yeah, here and there I will overreach, but most of the time, probably 90 to 95% of the time, I'm chill. I don't overreach on things. But those overreaches are me really believing that that's what it is. I don't overreach just for views. I'll reach thinking that that's what it actually is. And I do think Eminem still dissed him, regardless of what Royce the 5'9" said. I do think Eminem actually took shots at Jay-Z. Because ever since Renegade, I think there's been a little bit of back and forth, and people have always put Jay-Z and Eminem together and who's had the longer career, who's been better longevity, blah, 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 blah. But that's a whole different story and a whole different thing.